Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Today, we will be starting with the Employee Central. It is more about the theoretical part. Let's be communicative and you can unmute yourself that you can ask certain questions. The participants in the discussion. Employee Central, when we were having the demo also, Employee Central is mainly divided into three parts. That is Employee Central Core, Employee Central Time Off and Employee Central Payroll. When come into the cloud platform where we have the success factor. Success factor has various modules. And these modules we have already elaborated, starting with the Employee Central. Then we have performance, all the talent modules we have. Employee Central is the one of the module which is one of the important module where we are doing all the configurations, where we are maintaining all the employee database as well as the organization structure. Before starting with Employee Central in detail, I guess also want to take to an overview that if it is not a cloud technology, if it is going with an on-premises, that is called, we have another product that is called as a ECC SAP on product, which is called as a ECC. ECC is charged for Enterprise Central Component. Under ECC, we have various. We have two segments. One is a technical and one is a functional. Technical covers the ABAP, that is ABAP, which is a technical module. Functional module covers your all functional modules, including it starts with the sales and distribution, material management, finance, HR. All these modules are coming under function and both technical and functional are coming under ECC. In functional into HR, SAP HR, when we discuss about SAP HR is divided into four parts PA, that is personal administration. Then you have organization management. Then you have a time management and then you have a payroll. These are the four submodules which are coming under SAP HR. When SAP HR is also called as on-premises because the server is located at that client place. But in the cloud technology, the server is located at different geographical region. And the data is maintained at that particular region that we call as a data center. It is not placed at the client location in terms of the cloud. Coming to success factor, when you discuss about Employee Central, as I told, it is divided into three parts. Employee Central Core covers your SAP HRIS, PNOM, that is personal administration and organization management. And the time management, they have kept it separate, that is Employee Central Time Off and Payroll. Also, they have kept it separate, that is Employee Central Payroll. If you are interested to learn time off, that is a separate module where what we are learning, that is Employee Central Core. When you apply for the examination for the certification, there is a separate examination codes for the SuccessFactors Payroll, Employee Central Payroll, Employee Central Time Off, and Employee Central Core. Got it? This is just a basic overview which I explained to you. You should be aware that in the next 35 to 40 sessions, when we are covering this topic, we will be more focusing on the Employee Central Core. And Employee Central Core mainly covers the personal administration and organization management. Any questions? No, we are good. Now coming into Employee Central Core. Can you able to explain from anybody from your end? Why what is generally an Employee Central Core and why we are using what is the purpose? What is the use of it in any organization? To maintain one thing is to maintain employee data all together in one place. I mean, like you have personal data, job information, compensation pay, my payroll. I mean, it is the display of the pays. You have everything in one place. That one of the reason I might be that we can get all the data in one place and it will be helpful for the user to also understand me. That's what I can. What are the other? What may be the other things? Generally from an organization point of view, because this is more about this session and the coming session will be more about a discussion. You are discussing about the Employee Central. Can you able to explain further more from your end? Other thing is definitely like we maintain this SF data. No, I'm not talking about more into the success factor. I'm not discussing about the cloud part, but in a general way, whenever we are using an ERP, what is the purpose of using an ERP? I think to maintain. I mean, if any company wants their employee data and they want to run their payroll and get the output or give the output for the working employees where they can see their leaves or anything. I mean their data. It's like mostly the management, the employee management, I feel. To maintain centralized data. It is used to maintain the centralized data. That is correct. Any ERP, I'm not telling about SuccessFactor, but when any company, any organization, when they are planning for going for the automation mode, where they want to maintain the data not in the manually, but into the system. That is the reason we are going for a ERP system, right? And when you are going for the ERP system, it can be a cloud. It can be a not from a cloud also, right? Right. That is the reason when we are going with SAP HR, that is our own premises, but still we are maintaining the data in the ERP system, right? The structures are configured. Coming into the success factor, when we are discussing about the Employee Central. Employee Central is a play. It is used to maintain the two type of data. One is employee data and one is organization data. What is an employee data and what is an organization data? Can you be able to explain? Employee data would be employee details like info type. No, don't come to the info type. Don't go to the info type. I am just asking you how you are maintaining the data. We have two things, that is, one is employee data and one is organization data. I am still don't want to go into the SAP HR mode or into a success factor. And also one more thing I just want to add to, when you are learning success factor, you should not compare the SAP HR. Then you are creating a confusion for yourself only because there you have a T, codes, info types and all these things. We are not using anything here. That is a totally different product. This is a totally different product. In a project, you can have a SAP HR consultant, also SuccessFactor consultant also. But SAP R consultant and SAP HR consultant cannot able to compare with the SF consultant. Only thing is that there will be data mapping will be there. But the fields will be defined and configured with a different tool here. And there the process of defining and configuring will be a different process. You cannot say at any point of time that we are configuring in this way and why we are not configuring here in this way. That is the reason. You have learned the SAP HR, you know it, but you restrict yourself from there and you learn from a scratch on what for success factor. Coming back here, we have the two data, that is organization data and the employee data. What is an organization data and what is an employee data? As I told, Employee Central help us to maintain two set of data. What is organization data and what is employee data? What is an employee data and what is an organization data? This is something because we are going very basic level that we need to understand the process flow, how it goes in the organization. Then only we can able to directly come into the system. If you are jumping into the system without having exposure into the process, then that is also very risky. You see, employee data means its personal details, salary details, tax details like that. We have employee data which includes all your personal details, which includes your contact, which includes your address information, and you are more into the job information. These are the personal. What is the organization data then? Organization data would be like the cost center. Go ahead. The organization data is something which is the data which is being maintained by the organization, right? How the organization structure, how we have an organization structure view, how we have a company view. Structure are like a hierarchy, organization, hierarchy and management like that. You have a company. You have a views will be there, business units will be there, divisions will be there, departments will be there, right? All these are the organization structure, right? These structures where it is configured and where it is maintained. It is maintained in the employee center, right? Same way you are maintaining the employee data. Employee data means what? After once you are hiring an employee, after hiring the employee, the entity will get into the, it will get an It will get into the employee profile, and that employee profile is also maintained in the Employee Center. There is a difference between an Employee Central and an employee profile. Employee profile is a place where you maintain the employee data, and this employee data is stored in the employee profile. An employee profile is being configured and maintained in the Employee Center. We can see here the Employee Central, that is EC, is maintained, the master database of an organization, and EC helps the organization. That is, Employee Central helps the organization to engage and empower the entire employees, which includes the HRs, managers, and all employees working in the organization. That is one thing. And I also have a comparison here, that into the cloud, that we are going to the SuccessFactor, and that is another product, that is ECC, which we call as on-premises. When you go into the ECC, we have POM time and payroll. When you go into the cloud, apart from the talent modules, we have EC Employee Center. Employee Central is again divided into three parts: Employee Central Core, Time Off, and Payroll. Under Employee Central Core, whatever we have learned or somebody has learned in PAOM, that will be generally covered under Employee Central Core. How we are doing at a cloud level. Coming back here, Employee Central manages the employee with a global system of record. When you handle a customer, the customer's line of business will be having to the 4 to 5 countries. All the 4 to 5 countries employee, whoever are located in these 4 to 5 countries, their data will be maintained on a centralized way. That is the reason it is saying that managing the employee with a global system of record captures all employees at data at one place. It continues the talent data for the comprehensive employee buffer. Talent data means what? The talent information. What is the talent information? And talent information covers what are the positions, what are the critical positions, what is the risk involved into that particular positions. All these things we are getting in the talent information, and this talent information is stored. How it is coming? It is coming from the talent data. And from where the talent data is coming from the Employee Central? Internally, Employee Central will be again connected with the other modules. What are the other modules? You may be having performance management, goal management. You will be having the succession management. You have another module that is called as a career development planning. You have MSS, that is learning management system. All these talent modules, from where the data will be flowing from the Employee Central. And when the data is flowing to all these talent modules, like succession management, learning management system, it always requires the information which is selected to the talent information. That is flowing from the EC. Is it clear? Any questions? No questions. Employee Central. Again, it is divided into two parts, which I have said. One is called as a HR data and the other is called as a foundation object. Let us discuss about the HR data. When we go into the HR data, let us take a scenario that an employee got and a candidate got selected in a company. What are the things which the candidate will be submitting to the organization, to the employer? Can you tell me? he would be submitting his personal details. Personal details includes gender, date of birth, right? All these informations, he will be sharing, and he will be sharing the contact information, right? Contact information, address information, and then you have a previous company information also, right? That also will be sharing. Apart from that, what are the other things he will be sharing? Just a general like an employee will be sharing to the employee. Personal data. I think we have to give 10 details. Then if we have a previous, any F, maybe all this I guess I remember as a person. These are these informations which the candidate is giving to the employer. That is, that detail like which includes the personal information, contact information, address information, job information, and nationality IDs. All this information which the employee is giving, which the candidate is giving to the employer, that is called as HR data. And once the employer receives that these information, with the help of these information, they will do the hiring process in the system. That is starts with the recruiting process, then it goes to the onboarding, and from the onboarding it will go to the Employee Central, and from the Employee Central it will go for the hiring process, and with this, all this data help us to create an employee profile. In this way, the employee profile will be created in the system. Got it? But I think this is like a general question. Since employees, we would not directly get the information. We should even we get the data we have to hire and on. That only I'm telling the data will flow from RCM, that is from the recruiting, and from there the data will be. See, initially the identifying the candidate, scheduling the interviews and going with certain level of interviews, that everything will go from RCM. Once the candidate is being selected, then they will be sent an offer letter, and at that time they have to submit the documents. And when they are submitting the documents, that will go into the onboarding process. When they start filling up all the details in the onboarding, and from the onboarding, once the data is being created in the system with the help of the onboarding process, when they are creating the data, what are they? How they will get the information which the candidate is giving with this documentation, right? That is your personal information, contact address, all this information. When he or she is submitting, if they are using SuccessFactor, they will create all these informations by inserting these informations in the system. That is at the onboarding process. Still, we are not into Employee Center. Once the onboarding, they create the details, everything in the system. That data will be flowing into the Employee Center. What happens once you submit your documents and everything? You will say that I have a 1 month of notice period, right? I will join after 1 month. The offer letter will be also issued according to that, right? Right. They will be having a checklist. According to the checklist, they will request the candidate to submit the documents. Right when the candidate will submit a document, on the basis of the document information, they will create a profile in the onboarding. And once they will create a profile, that profile will be moving and storing it in the Employee Center, and it will be there at the Employee Center. And the day when the candidate joins, after 1 month, the HR will pick up the data from the Employee Center and come initiate the remaining hiring process by creating the employee data. This is the flow which goes on. For that, when you are go, the HR data plays a very important role in Employee Center. HR data is something like which a candidate is sharing the information to the employer. These details they will accumulate these details, and they will create an employee profile in the system, which the data will be floating from the onboarding to the Employee Center. Got? That is the reason I try to explain what is an HR data. And this HR data in SuccessFactor we call as an employee data also, and also succession data also. It is also known as employee data also, as well as the succession data also. This is about something which employee is giving to the employer. Now the second question is that what employee is providing to the employee. Offer letter. Obviously, offer letter will be there. But in that offer letter, what are the informations? We are only discussing about the informations bought from the employee side as well as from the employee side. Now we have discussed what employee is giving to the employer. That we have discussed about informations. Now coming into the employer side. Employer would definitely wanting their pay scale, their salary details and their shift details, their role, their position, wage. In the offer letter, what are the things which we can able to see? One is the position right. What are the other things which we can see in the offer letter? One is the position other. Joining date. What are the other things? Which department he is into. Exactly. When you are getting selected for a particular position, the position will be placed for a particular department, right? We have position, we have department. What are the other things? What are the other things which we can see? Which we can see in an offer letter location. Location, date of joining location. Compensation also, we can see, right? What is the elimination part which the company is offering? These things, your position, your job role, your particular department, or for which business unit you have been got selected. These are nothing but the objects. These are nothing but the objects which we say in SuccessFactor employees. And these objects are nothing but the organization objects. These objects are nothing but the organization objects, and these organization objects are called as a foundation object. These organization objects are called as a foundation, also HR data. When we say about HR data comprise of your personal information, employment information, all these are coming under HR data. When we go into the foundation object that was mainly about the company structure that we discussed. Company structure, what you will be. In your offer letter, you will be also specifying from which company you had been selected, which division, which business unit, what is the job role, what is the position you will be holding, what is the compensation, what is the compensation part. You are a contractual employee or you are the regular employee. That depends upon your employee. That depends upon your employee type, right? All these things specifies that these objects in success factor we call as an organization object, or we call as a company structure or a corporate data. And these company structure and the corporate data, it is called as a foundation object. Any questions here? Now we can see one part that is an HR data and one part that is a foundation data. HR data is nothing but the employee data. When we are setting up the configuration in the Employee Central, as we told, Employee Central supplies of the employee data and the organization data. Employee data is nothing but the HR data and the organization data is nothing but the foundation objects. Now coming into the foundation objects. We will go into the HR data later, but coming into the foundation objects, we need to discuss what are the organization structure or the corporate data which we call as a foundation object. Foundation object. What are the foundation objects in a generic term which we can able to say? What are the foundation objects? Foundation object comprise of legal entity, right? You have a business unit, you can understand the legal entity, right? Legal entity is nothing but the company, right? Legal entity is nothing but the company. And then under the company, you may be having the business unit, then you may be having the division, you will be having the department, you will be having the location. Then pay grade frequency. All these things are coming under the foundation objects. This comprise the corporate structure or the company structure. It plays an important role even for any ERP system that the company structure has to be configured and placed in the system. Otherwise, we cannot able to go and create the HR data. Can we go and create a HR data without the company structure? You are hiring an employee, but for hiring an employee, you require a company, right? Legal entity. To whom? How you will be mapping that particular data to that particular entity if the entity is not available in the system. For that, the corporate data, that is the foundation object, plays an important role because that is the place where we need to go and configure this organization structure first in the system. Then only we can able to go and create the HR data. Once we are discussing about the foundation data, we need to understand what are the organization structures. What are the foundation data? We can able to list out the foundation objects. General foundation objects are legal entities, business unit, division, department, location, pay range, event reasons, dynamic roles, workflow, all these things are coming under the foundation. When we are discussing about the foundation object, that is the corporate data or the company structure, we need to understand two concepts, two scenarios. One is how these objects are configured, where it is configured. That is one thing. That is one thing. And the second thing is, if this corporate structure is already configured with the help of this structure, how you are creating the record. That is the another scenario. Creating the record is one scenario, and where these objects and fields are configured, that is the another scenario. Coming into foundation object, there are two things, how you can able to cope, how you can go and create a record. There are two ways for which we can able to go and create a record. When you go above, when you discuss about these objects, that is legal entity, business unit, division, department, all these objects. When you are going and creating an entity, legal entity in the system. For that, this legal entity has to be defined in the system, right? If it is not defined, how you will create a record? Isn't it? When you want to configure the company ID, company code. If the structure is not defined, how you go and create a record? The structure has to be defined. Now I'm just relating it, but I don't know because in SAP we create all this in the system itself. We connect this to EC or EC to EC. See, it depends upon the vertical. It varies from company to company in one organization. As I told you, we have already also discussed about the deployment model, right? Well, we have the hybrid also, as well as the full cloud also, right? Some companies, they are going with hybrid. If they are going with hybrid means what they are maintaining the legacy system and the success factor also. Correct, when they are maintaining SAP AR also, as well as success factor also. The data will be flowing from the SAP HR to the employee center. For that organization, they are not going with the payroll with the cloud. They are maintaining the payroll from SAP HR only. They are running the payroll from SAP HR, but data they are picking from SuccessFactor. There is an integration flow from SF to ECC. That is AP. It can vary from client to client. Some clients, they have totally migrated that legacy system to the SuccessFactors system. There is no legacy system. We are just following the success factor. But still they may be having a local third-party vendor who are going with the payroll process. Is your question answered from my end? Yes, I understood now. It only depends upon the company or what people, organization, how they are handling. Yes, how they are maintaining, how the landscape has been created. Here when we are going and hiring a person. Now also, if you are hiring, if you have a ECC and if you have a success factor also, you will be hiring somebody in success factor. And that data will be flowing in SAP HR, ECC. For hiring a person in success factor, also these legal entities, business unit division has to be in place in SuccessFactor. And simultaneously, this structure also has to be placed in ECC. I'm hiring somebody by in the legal entity. The same company ID and same company name and ID should be there in ECC also. Proper mapping should be there. Similar case with a business unit division department also. That is something which is more into a high level integration part. But coming into the Employee Central, when you're hiring somebody, if the structure is not in place, system is unable to identify within the hiring process. That is the reason before the HR data, foundation data plays an important role. For setting up the configuration for the foundation data in the system is very important. Before moving into the HR data, got when we list out the foundation objects, we have the legal entities, business unit, division departments, all this, and we have all much more foundation objects. From where these foundation objects are created and maintained. That is, maintained in the front end at a place called Manage Job. Job pay structure. We have a configuration tool where you can able to go and create the record for the foundation object also, as well as you can able to go and maintain this record also. In the manager of the pay structure, good. And another way of creating the record is import foundation data. Manage job. Job pay structure is a configuration tool under Employee Center where you are going and creating the records one-to-one basis for the foundation objects creating the record. I am creating a company XYZ company in the system. I have to fill all the information for that company. Where will I go and create the record in the manager of the pay structure? After creating the company, suppose I want to go and create multiple departments, 4 to 5 departments for that particular company. One way is I can go and create one department, then I can go to the another department, then I can go to another department like this one-to-one. If 4 to 5 departments simultaneously, I have to go and create. How will I go and create? With the help of import formation. Got it. Import foundation data is used to go and create bulk records for the foundation object. And when you are creating a bulk record also, that record also is maintained at manager of the pay structure. Understood? Like you're saying that I'm just managing the job and import foundations or manage data. Ideally in SAP we say some T code. What do you say in AC like? No. See again, I'm telling you please don't compare with SAP HR. Their structure, their process, their configuration part is totally different. But what do we call? I mean, not only I'm saying we are calling manage of the pay structure. That's it. I mean, all of this doesn't have like a common thing. No. That only just if you keep that thing in your mind, then we have an info type, then we have a T code. But it is called here. No, in the cloud, the designing of the entire app, the product is totally different. When you come into the system also, the system design also, it is totally different when you see it. I will again request you are coming from an SAP HR background. Just try to keep that particular concept aside. Only thing which will help you in the real time is that because there the fields are common at both the places. When you are doing some data application, then only your knowledge and your skill from the SAP HRIS will help. Otherwise, when you are a SuccessFactors consultant, you will be only doing from a cloud point of view, not from an ECC point of view. If you're going with a migration project, data migration project, then only you will be involved from an ECC side. In any project, you cannot be a single consultant, cannot be taken care for the SAP HR as well as SuccessFactors. You may be having a knowledge, but either you can be SAP HR or you can be SF consultant. And both the knowledge can be combined at the time that we have two scenarios where the project is getting migrated. Then it requires. Second thing is that when you are replicating the data in SPHR, how the data is flowing from the SuccessFactors. If you have a knowledge in SuccessFactors, you can able to understand how it is getting replicated in SAP HR. But both are different products. Their configuration part, their naming convention, they are totally different. Here for creating the foundation object, that is, creating the record for the foundation object, we are using the configuration tool that is called as a manage of the pay structure. And this is the tool where we are maintaining the records for any foundation objects in the system. That is, in all the three environments. That is development, preview, and the production. And if you want to go and create bulk records, then you will be going and using with import foundation data that is also used for the foundation object only, but you are importing the file with the help of import foundation data. But here in manage of the pay structure, this is a tool where you are directly going and creating it manually in the system. Understood the difference between these two tools, but the purpose is same for the foundation object. That is one thing. And when you are going and creating a record, when you suppose you open a legal entity, you will fill up all the form. You can see the object is legal entity, and in the hot object, there will be some fields will be there, right? Some standard fields will be there. Those fields and objects are defined somewhere. That is the reason that is populating when you are going and creating a record. Got. When you go into a manage of the page structure, when you select an object, when you click on create new and select that object, there is a form which is opening. In that form, you will find various fields are there. Those fields, you will be filling the values and you will be clicking on save. The record will be created. But those fields from where it is coming, the object where it is coming, it is a place where it is being defined. Defining the foundation object is kept and maintained in the backend system, that is in the provisioning system. Provisioning system. We have a concept called data models. Altogether, we have around 7 data models. In that 7 data models, the first and foremost data model is the corporate data model. That is the reason foundation object is also called as a corporate data or the corporate data model, because the objects and the fields of the foundation object are defined and maintained in the corporate data model. The coming session, we will go and see how these objects are defined in the corporate data model, that is, in the provisioning. If you are a certified consultant, then only you can go into the provisioning and you can able to access the backend system. Every data model will be having a code, that is an XML code. We need to download these XML codes. We don't have to write any code. The codes are already written by SAP. Whenever there will be a changes which is required, we need to go and download that XML code, do the necessary changes and import it back into the system. When we import it back into the system, then we can see we will come back into the front end. And when we go again into the manage of job pay structure, we can open that particular object and we can see that that object and the field which we have done some modification from the provisioning, that changes are reflecting in the front and down. Defining the objects and the fields are maintained it is in the provisioning, that is at the corporate data model. Creating the record, we are doing it in the front end, that is in the instance system. And in the instance, we are using the configuration tool as a manage of job pay structure. Any questions here further? I'm just pausing for the while. Can you please repeat what was the provisioning? I mean, like in instance you said, we use this manage of mission pay struct to create what was in provisioning. I just missed that. When we completed the introduction to mastery, if you recall, I told you that we have an architecture for success factor that is divided into the front end and the back end system. Right. Front end is called as an instance and back end is called as a provisioning. Right. Any consultant, 80% of the configuration work always covers in the front end system. But in the front end system, whenever you want to make some changes, in terms of any objects or any field and those changes, there is some dependencies which will be lied in the provisioning system. Now when we are discussing about the foundation object. When you are creating a record for the foundation object in the front end, that is in the legal entity, there are certain fields will be there, right? A form will be there. A form will comprise of certain fields, right? Like your legal entity ID, legal entity name, legal entity descriptions, status, all these are the fields. These are called the standard fields. From where these fields are coming? These fields are coming from the place where it is being defined, right? Somewhere it will be defined in the system, right? Now, just for an example, when you are going and filling a banking, when you are applying for a bank account and you are filling your online form, you will be having some details like first name, middle name, last name. All this information you will be filling, right? A form will be there with some space length will be there for each field, where it is showing in the front end, that is in the UI. But from where it is coming somewhere, it is defined same way when you are going and creating a legal entity, business unit or any foundation object. Those fields and objects are defined somewhere. In SuccessFactors Employee Central, these objects are defined in the provisioning system. In the provisioning system, we have a concept called data models. Data model is a tool which help us to maintain the configuration of that particular objects and the field which is maintained in the provisioning. And whatever the object and field which we have configured in the data model that will be reflecting in the front end. That is in the instance system. The reason is that instance and provisioning both are synchronized to each other. Both are connected to each other. Whatever activation or whatever enabling part which we are doing in the provisioning, same thing will be reflecting in the front end system. It means that the foundation objects are created in provisioning. Foundation object records are created in the front end. Suppose I am giving an example. You want to create a record for locations. You want to create Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi. This is the record you are creating in the system. You have a company and the company have 4 branches located in India, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore. You have to create a location. Record for the location. You are creating that record for the location in the front end. That is in the manage object or page structure. But when you are creating that location, you will be having some form, right? You will be filling that form, right? Then only you will be saving it, correct? From where those fields are coming, somewhere it is defined. That is the place it is called as a corporate data model in the provisioning. We have a data model tool. Altogether, we have 7 data model tools. I will explain to you in detail for all the remaining data models. But among the 7 data model, one of the important data model is called as a corporate data model. Each data model tool will be having an XML codes. We need to download that XML file. There are certain codes are there in the XML file. That codes are already predefined. It is already created by default by SAP. Those codes are nothing but the configuration which is maintained in the code. And that configuration is nothing but the objects and field which are defined in the data model. If you will modify some code, means if you are modifying the configuration and that will be reflecting in the front end system. When you are going and opening a manage object or page structure, going into the location, if you want to go and see a record, you can go to the location and you can open that record for Bangalore or Mumbai or Hyderabad. You can see the record which is already maintained because that is already created in the system. That is the reason I explained to you. There are 2 concepts. One is creating the record is one thing and maintaining the objects and the fields it is at the other place. That is in the provisioning. I understand that is one thing. Now when I go into in the front end, there are 2 ways. That is manage of job page structure and import foundation data. And also I just want to add up before going into the system. Initially, when they were having foundation objects, all these foundation objects were coming under a single place. Both when we are defining it in the XML as well as in manage of the page structure. Then what happened in the previous year's releases, what SP has done? They introduced another feature that is called as a metadata framework. We call as a NDF object. And this object, MDF object, is also derived from the foundation only. The purpose of deriving this NDF object from the foundation. The reason is that to identify the important organization structure from the foundation, and those important organization structure has been migrated from the foundation to the MDF object. In the previous year, what happened earlier? There was only one object, that is foundation. From the foundation, they have created another object that is called as MDF metadata framework. And what they have done? They moved some important object from the foundation to the MDF. And those objects, now it is being maintained and created from the MDF side, not from the foundation side. In foundation, those objects we cannot able to go and see while creating the records. And also we cannot able to go and see where while searching in the XMS also. Got? Yes? Now these objects, we have the important objects which has been migrated from the foundation to the metadata framework. These objects are legal entities, important objects legal entity, business unit division department, job classification position. These are important of cost center. These are important objects which has been moved into the metadata framework, which also includes the pay scale area, pay scale type, pay scale level. All these things has been moved into the MDF. In the foundation, mainly the leftover objects are location group, pay component group, geozone. Then you have event reason, workflow, dynamic role. These are something which is still there in the foundation object. Any of these records which I named right now for foundation, these records, if we want to go and create a record in the foundation, we will be using manage of the pay structure. And these objects are still being defined in this one, what you call XML, that is corporate data model. Any questions here? Coming into the system, I am going into the manager of the structure. Now you can see here, this is a screen which is used for manage of the pay structure. And you have a search option. You can select the foundation of the from here and you can search for the records. This is the place where you can able to go and create the records for the foundation object. You can see these are the leftover foundation objects which are there in the manager of the pay structure. And you are able to see here location group, geozone, location, pay range, pay grade component, frequency, dynamic role, event reason, workflow and event reason. When we go here the same thing, it will be record showing here. If I go and select the location and if I select any of the location, now you can see this is the foundation object. This is the record for the foundation object, right? As the record for the foundation object, right? Now effective date, location, ID, name, description, status, location, group, time zone, all these things from where it is coming. These are coming from provisioning from the proper data model. Right. We are feeling these things which are in right. We are just feeling those values. Yes. It is a place where you are trying to create the organization record structure here. Defining the structure is maintained in provisioning. Creating the record, it is maintained in the front-end system. Now I created a record here. Somebody has created a record by Air Dubai. When I am hiring, then for that employer, I have to select the location. When I am selecting the location, I should get the record right. It is already being created. That is the reason this is a place where you are going and creating the record. Now you can see the location. You have a standard fields are there. Location, I dename all these other standard fields as well as we have the custom fields. That is one thing. And we can also see when you are going and creating a record. Then we can see one object is again associated or linked with the another object. Location and legal entity. This configuration also is done it in the provisioning. That is the reason this object is coming here. Although this is an MDF object. But how to link, how to associate a foundation object and an MDF object, that is to the association which we are doing it in the provisioning. When we are setting the configuration in the XML code, then it will be automatically reflecting it in the front-end system. Now, when we are creating a record for the location and you have selected the entity by this name, what it means? This legal entity record will be linked or mapped with this particular location record. Right. For example, if an employee for any existing employee, I am transferring him from one entity to this entity. I am changing the entity. What will happen? The location will also get changed. Right. Because the location is mapped automatically with the entity at when we have done the configuration. Whenever there is some field in the employee profile where the location is also there, then when you are changing the entity, location will also get changed because these are associated to each other. That is the importance when you are giving the association between the two objects. Here you can see location and legal entity. Now tell me now we have this location and legal entity. These are available for the whole system. Yes, it is available for the whole system. It is available for the whole system. Whichever the employee you are hiring for this entity, that employee will be again connected with this location. And when I'm going, one more thing, when you go and see here, suppose this is a record which is already created and it is already 1 year old in the system. There is already a lot of employees profile which is linked with this entity and with this particular location. Now, if customer comes and says that I want to change the record, I want to update that record, I want to have some modification. When you are doing some modification, at that time you should not go and do from the take action. You have your option here, make collection right. When you are going with a make collection, means you are just overlating this record, right? Suppose you have a requirement where you want to update something. Let's say you want to update the standard weekly hours or you want to update the geo zone or something. In that case, you should not go and override the existing record. The SAP best practice is that whenever we want to do some change in the data which already the record is, already suppose this record is already connected with multiple employees, right? It will have an impact when you are going and changing. In that case, we will use this another tab that is called as a insert new record. And whatever record which you are going and creating, that new record should have an effective date. It should be from 1st of July or from 1st of January. According to that, you can able to go and give some effective date, and according to that, we can able to go and create a record. Once you go and create a record, what is the benefit? You are not tinkering anything with the old record. The new record will be there in the history and the old record will be there. You can see I have changed the standard weekly hours and the geo zone with some effective date, and you can see the old record will be there. That is the created record. This is the best practice with SP follow. Whenever you are going with any of these foundation objects, you should make sure that these foundation objects any record. Suppose if I'm going with a location group and I'm selecting a particular location here. If I want to modify something here in this, among the values here, the record which I should not go into the take action and make correction, I should go from the insert new record. If customer has not given any effective date, we should ask to them, what is the effective date from our end? Got. This we should keep it in mind whenever we work in the. Either you are into implementation or you are into support project. Both the cases. For creating the record, we can go here. You can go and click on Create New. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask me and I will go and create a location here. SAP always has a start date and end date. Do you know what is the start date? SAP started, which they are following. And what is the end date? End date, I remember that is 31/29/89. Start date is some 900, I think. If customer is not giving any effective date, then it is always best to take this AP standard date. Here we can go and take a SAP standard date. Now I can go and create a record here. That is, let me take. I am copying this name here. When you are copying this name, if you want to give the other translations, then you have an option here for providing the other translation. Other translation, you can understand by the text in the other language, right? That SAP will destroy that customer will provide the translation. We need to take the details from the customer. These fields which I am referring, you can see the label fields are mandatory. Length of the field right. How many standard fields are there? You are adding some custom fields. How it is coming from the corporate data model from the provisioning. Location, group, everything the real time the customer will provide us. Now I am not taking anything. Let's take standard weekly or something. Legal entity I have already created for the training purpose of using that legal entity. And I need to select the country also. And I'm just looking on save. This is one way of creating the record. If I go and want to search it location. You can see it is showing here, which we have just created. When you are created, you can see R who has created that log also will be showing here. Can you see the log here below? This is something, a concept where you are going and creating manually, and this is a place where all the foundation objects records has been maintained. In any environment, that is a production preview or the development. Got. Now, another way of going and creating is duplicating the screen. We have another tool that is called as a import foundation data. When you go and create a import foundation data, you can see, first of all, you will have to download the template. As I told you in proxy management. Also, I shown you that SAP file only support with the CSV format. Whenever we want to download a blank template, this is the place where you can click on here and you can see which particular object template we need to download. That is one thing. After downloading, after filling that, when we go and we need to select that particular type and we need to select it is a type of purge, that is full purge or incrementer. What it means by the full purge? Full purge is something when you are creating, when you are editing from here, what you are doing, you are overwriting it, right? And inserting new record means you are maintaining the historical record also, right? Same thing in the import file also. If you are going with full purge means whatever data is there in the system, that is, get overwritten with the file which you are importing it. Incremental means the record which are there in the system that will be there, and the file which you are importing, that record will be also there. No, it's like old, right? And have one. Old and new, both will be there in the historical. If you are doing it first time, then you can go with the full purge. There is nothing with going with an incrementer. You can go with the full purge because there is no data in the system, right? How you have to go it? You have to go and download. Now we are going with the location on downloading the template. You can see the template will be downloaded. After downloading the template, give me a moment. I will open the template. Can you able to see the record here? Can you able to see the template here? Blank template. You can see two headers are there, right? One is this one, and one is this one, right? Two headers are there. This first header is the standard one. This is called as an IDs. When you go into the XML, then again we will discuss the same. But to avoid the confusion, I am just explaining to you. Whenever you are going and creating some record, each field will be having one label and one ID. The ID is the first header. Label is the second header. ID will be always the standard one. We should not go and change the ID. You can see here location ID is there. Here also you can see location ID is there. If customer want to change this location ID, from where we can change from the provision. Whatever, we have changed this again when we are downloading that. When we are trying to download the template, the new name will be reflecting here. But what I will do? I will just give me a moment. I will take the some data here and we will try to fill it up. Can you see here the data? This I have done for previous batch. I will copy it and we will go and create our new one, but with different values. Let me take here. Again, when I go here, and here I will maintain the same. Start date. Whenever we are taking a date, the date format is MDD. Let's take here the month as I am taking as April. 1st of April. And I will just copy this same here also. And same here also. Status is active weekly hours, and I already linked with the code for the power for the legal entity. Just I don't have to do anything. This I just done it. And I will save it. I will close it. Now what I will do? I need to copy it. I will copy that particular file. Let me rename it also. And I will copy this. And I will go to the UDF. I pasted it. Maybe the screen is not visible for you people. Now I'm going back here. I can go and select the location. I can select full page. Just giving an update. The real-time threshold. It is minimum 10 mean. If you're going with minimum 10 files, we can record, we can able to update easily. More than that, it takes some couple of minutes. It will be updated because the job, some sort of jobs are running in the background in the provisioning system. According to that, it will be get updated. Minimum we need to go with not at least minimum 10, we can able to go. That is the reason below 10, how much you can able to go. And here we are going, choosing the file. File encoding will be UTF-8. Why we are going with UTF-8? Because it is in a CSV format. The CSV format supports the character file encoding as UTF-8. And then we will go and choose the file. And for choosing the file again when I go back here, I will go to UDF. And what was the location? This one, right? It is your 3. I will just open this. We are just connected, just validated. You can see total 3 records. The most record failed. This is something which we have validated. Now again, we need to choose the file. And scroll down. Select the location. And just import it. Once it is being done, just go here and just refresh the page. I am selecting the location here. Apart from Jaipur, what was the other location? Jodhpur, right? Let me see. You can see Jodhpur. It is showing right, which we have imported. Correct. Am I correct? This one. This is the another method. I am going with laws. And this is for Jaipur, right? You can see Jaipur is also created here. What was another one? Koba, right? You can see Kolba is also updated here. In this way, two methods we have learned today for creating the records for the foundation. One is manage object-based structure from where you can create the records for all these or any of these foundation objects. And you can maintain those records here and we can search for that record. Create the record from here. And for another way is to this one, that is import foundation data, where you can able to upload multiple records at a time with the help of import foundation data. For that we need to download the template. We need to update that template. And we need to import that template for that particular objects by selecting the particular import type. Generally, when we are going on a real-time basis, we will be going with an incremental load, not with the full load. In special cases, they will be going with the full load. Otherwise, we will be going with the incremental load. Choose in the file and go in with the file encoding as UTF-8. And we are importing it. After importing, we are going and cross-checking it how we have done the checking here. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.